Somebody writes in, you never can you see how out of shape a person is until you see them in a suit that does not fit.
You don't get the show.
Stugotz yesterday was flopping around out there winning one of. It's been a tough week for you wearing a suit all week. Your suit is snug. Adnan Virk, thank you for joining us. I've got some stuff to talk to you about here. Cinephile is something you need to be listening to if you want to get more informed, get smarter about the movies. His film taste, he digs down, he drills down. Chris Cote is being, these authors that he talks to, Chris Cote is being lured into educating himself, being like, oh, this information feels good. It feels good to be informed.
It's too much information in the fact that I learn stuff, and it's like, what's happening right now? Like, I just want to do fart things, and Adnan's like teaching me things.
You're rejecting
Makes
learning?
me emotional.
You're rejecting learning.
Yes.
Just like
we also,
most
this
of
week,
America.
Dan, we bust out a new segment.
It's work for me.
Hang on. Chris is a real gift. I should mention, Dan. I let him know ahead of time what movies we're talking about, but Chris is a real gift for ignoring those, but then watching the film after I've already discussed
A week
it.
later.
Last week with regards to Reservoir Dogs, which is the 30th anniversary of that Tarantino film. I said, okay, Chris has probably seen it, hasn't seen it, didn't see it in the few days leading up to the podcast, but retroactively.
I'm getting to it.
That's very, very poorly produced podcast.
Oh, but Dano, we're doing a thing here.
You producing by listening to the stuff. He does all the research. You doing his job.
You think
for
everybody
him.
listening to the podcast has seen these movies? No, I'm bringing that side of it. Now I'm listening to him talk about it as the person who hasn't seen it.
It's a very important side of the person who hasn't seen the movie.
Ignorant. You're bringing ignorance to his
I
podcast.
ask what genuine questions I have about the movie as someone who hasn't seen it. It's a nice balance, I think.
I understand if you haven't seen the nominees for Best Foreign Film, but Reservoir Dogs, when you produce a movie podcast, is that's poor.
I mean, Adnan, by the way, has seen almost every movie nominated for these Oscars. It's something he likes to brag about.
Actually, I'd like to, if I can, I think this might be here a new segment for you guys to please. I'd love to hear something that has this spirit on Cinephile, because Adnan's got so much information and he's so good and he talks way too fast. And you're there to bring the ignorance, to slow his ass down.
Damn right.
And make the show a little bit dumber because he's just spewing hot air breath opinions and you can't keep up and it's all too fast. Can you tell me, before I get Adnan's opinion on this, what you think of the work that Tarantino has done as an artist, as a director? Can you, Chris Cote, who had not seen Reservoir Dogs, tell me about why it is that Quentin Tarantino is one of the greatest directors we've ever
with
seen?
Tarantino, it's less plot, more character. Okay, he doesn't he's not as interested as these deep plots. He's more just like, let me make interesting characters that you're going to be interested in. He does the non-linear a lot where he's hopping back and forth. These are all things that Adnan says on this week's episode, so I'm just regurgitating that.
Oh, so you're just stealing his opinion and giving it to us because you happen to listen to
He said something about non-linear, and it sounded really good.
What Dan is going for is the uninformed opinion better than the informed opinion.
Or more entertaining.
Yes.
What I'm asking you is don't fake it.
I feel like I nailed that right there, Adnan.
You tried to be smarter than you are, and we all saw through your fraudulence.
You tried to make me look dumb.
No, because tell me what
that's what you do on a regular basis.
Why is Tarantino good? Tell me.
Because less plot, more character.
Okay, that's
right, Adnan.
Okay, that's
no. Cody said specifically, Dan, with regards to Reservoir Dogs, I like it the way the story, like, what is it called? Like when there's a word for it. What is it called when they go back? I go, flashbacks? He goes, yeah, I like that. I like that. I said, yeah. I go, non-linear storytelling. He goes, yeah, that stuff's awesome. I like when there's.
I always do this, Adnan. I'm like, I don't know the lingo, but I feel like he hops back and forth in time.
You guys need
flashback is not lingo.
It's unbelievable.
Nah, but the linear thing.
Linear,
that's
non-linear.
Lingo. Yeah.
That's a film school term for sure.
I don't mean to micromanage the podcast, but I would love to learn this, like reverse engineer it so that you could just hear Chris Cote's stupid ignorance first and then have Adnan come in and clean it all up for you. Why is Tarantino special? Because Adnan, I don't know what...
You don't pay me to answer that question, though. I mean, Adnan is so good at this.
Well, I also like to get his top 5 directors of all time. He's been waiting this question. I'm sure he's got a list.
I'm certain he's done it.
I'm sure he could do... we're going to go 5-1, but go ahead. Tell me why Tarantino is special and why you're celebrating Reservoir Dogs. The story behind Reservoir Dogs is so cool. How it got made and how Tarantino got to independence.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Dan. Like, we go back. I'm reading this great book by Chuck Klosterman, who I'm sure you're a fan of. It's called The 90s. And he goes back and talks about the 90s and when Tarantino's rise to prominence. And there was that fancy word everyone kept using in the 90s, which was postmodern. Seinfeld's this postmodern show, and David Letterman is use of irony. And you heard those words all the time. Well, what postmodern basically meant was Tarantino had seen a ton of movies and then made up the script, which felt original, even though he had no real attachment to these characters. Meaning Harvey Keitel read the script and saw Tarantino and said, okay, that's an Italian last name. This guy must have had some relation to organized crime, an uncle or brother. It's like, no, Tarantino just watched a ton of movies and then came up with this story and kind of had all his different passions melding together. And he's 27 years old. He very famously worked at a video store. And people think, oh, he learned so much about movies working at the video store. He said, no, I already knew everything about movies. That's how I got the job at the video store. And when I was there, people would come in and I'd say, you should watch this. You should watch this. You should watch this. And I wrote 3 scripts. He wrote Natural Born Killers, which he hated the version that Oliver Stone did, despises it to this day. He also wrote True Romance, which has some DNA of Quentin Tarantino, particularly the Dennis Hopper, Christopher Walken scene. That feels like a Tarantino scene, but otherwise it's a Tony Scott movie. And then, of course, Reservoir Dogs, which is a bunch of criminals hanging out, and it's just so sharply written, and the dialogue is
less plot, more character.
Less plot, more character, epitomized by the first scene, which you've never seen it. 30 years later, it's just 6 guys sitting around talking about Madonna's Like a Virgin and why Mr. Pink, Steve Buscemi's character, doesn't tip. Wait, you don't tip at McDonald's. They're working hard for you. I'm not going to tip. Society says I have to tip. Like, that whole scene to this day still rings true. And it's amazing Tarantino's evolution, because he went from this guy who's this real motor mouth nerd, but now recently there's been some criticism of him. Abhorrent use of language, excessive use of the N-word, the way he forced Uma Thurman to do some stunts in Kill Bill. So like Tarantino's career has been really evolutionary. He was loved. He's been criticized. He's always said, I'm only going to make one more movie, 10 movies, I'm done. But I think it's fun to go back and see that first film, which is a real rocket ship.
Chris, I'm curious what your thoughts are on Tarantino's use of diegetic and non-diegetic sound.
I think that it, has some balance to it.
Good answer. It's the right answer.
Tarantino, how revolutionary is he with some of the things he does with cinematography and non-linear storytelling?
Well, it almost became a punching, I wouldn't say a punching bag, but kind of a joke. Like, can Tarantino just tell a story start to finish? Like, every single time he's cross-cutting and going back and forth and using that nonlinear storytelling. Reservoir Dogs starts with the characters at a diner, then goes, bam, Tim Roth is shot in the gut, and now we're going all over the place. Pulp Fiction, famously, you see it start with Tim Roth in the coffee shop. Later on, it ends with Jules and Vincent still alive, even though we know Travolta dies. Jackie Brown, again, he likes turning the story upside down. You start to say to yourself, can you just tell a story start to finish? Like, it's cool what you do, but I just want to see you do something else. But to his credit, I think what he's done is he's remained true to himself in telling stories that he finds interesting. When you look at Tarantino's work, it's like he works in all these different genres, but it's always stuff that's interesting to him. He loved watching kung fu movies and wanted to make an homage to Kill Bill. He loved blaxploitation pictures and thus wanted to give Pam Grier a great role. And I think the best compliment to him, Dan, is that in terms of his influence, he's always just stuck to the characters and actors that he loves. When he cast John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, they thought he was doing it as a joke. Like, the now disgraced Harvey Weinstein was pushing for Stu's least favorite actor, Daniel Day-Lewis, to be in the movie.
Oh, my God.
And Tarantino said no. And he said, Travolta. They go, Travolta, the guy who's been in Look Who's Talking, Talking Baby.
Didn't they resurrect his career from there? Travolta
Right.
was done at that point.
Right, he was done. And Tarantino goes, no, again, the video store aesthetic. When I think of John Travolta, I'm in the video store and I'm watching Blowout with Brian De Palma and I'm watching Saturday Night Fever. That's the guy I want in my movie. And he resurrected John Travolta's life. It's amazing.
Chris, in that scene in Reservoir Dogs where the guy cuts off the other guy's ear, do you think that's an allegory for something?
That's a gross ass scene, by the way. That's one of those examples of more character, less plot. But anyways, when I say to the room right now, John Hamm, Mad Men, great actor or just a great role? Find out the answer to that question on this week's Cinephile.
What did you just do?
He just sidestepped the question.
Did a promo. Greg Cody does.
They asked you a question, and I want to get. Adnan's,
it was a very gory scene.
But hold on, there's too much
but is
happening.
It an allegory?
We could do top 5 gory scenes if you want. Adnan can do that off the top of his head. I'm sure he could do top 5 directors off the top of his head, and I'm sure he could do top 5 Tarantino movies off the top of his head, and he can rank them 5 to 1. Let's do all of those.
I would like to guess his top 5 directors before he announces his top 5 directors. I feel like I know Adnan very, very well.
Okay, so
before we get to that, I want to ask Stu how appalled he'd find Pulp Fiction if Daniel Day-Lewis was the main character, not John.
I mean, not a shot. I go to the theater and I watch that movie, and I certainly don't watch it the 15 times I watched it after the theater. Get out of here with Daniel Day-Lewis. Who cares about him?
He'd be getting into character as a hitman the whole time. He wouldn't talk to anybody else.
That just vaulted Tarantino up to my #1 director of all time. Seriously. I mean,
I take it you're not a Phantom Thread fan, Stugotz.
Oh,
such a good film. Right, Adnan? Oh, my God.
Yeah, Jess, it's great. And Stu has no idea what we're talking about.
The non-diegetic sound in Phantom Thread.
Oh, I love that.
One of the best musical scores of our generation.
Let's do this.
House of Woodcock.
Where do you guys want to start? Stugotz guessing Adnan's top 5 directors?
Yeah, I like that. I think Stu will be pretty good with this. I like this idea.
All right, so number 5, Stugotz guessing Adnan's favorite directors.
The Coen brothers.
That's pretty good. Good start. Number 4.
Francis Ford Coppola.
All right, he's coming strong here. Number 3.
Tarantino.
Number 2.
Spielberg.
Okay, and number 1, according to Stugotz.
Marty Scorsese.
Where's Spike Lee? Where's Spike Lee? Spike history.
Okay, there's not a lot of diversity on that particular
list.
list.
It's Adnan's list.
Listen, 3 of the 5 he nailed. 3 of the 5 he nailed.
Whoa.
I would remove Spielberg and include Spike Lee.
Thank you.
Of course, I love, particularly his early
Good cover.
films I love.
Good save.
And I would remove good save.
You gotta get Catherine Bigelow in there now.
No, I do like the Hurt Locker. I would remove Coppola and I would get Paul Thomas Anderson.
Well, I am shocked.
So good.
PTA.
But you love Coppola. You've told me in the past.
I do love Coppola. Coppola's number 6. By the way, Coppola was like jarring if you see him now. He's a new article. He's going to try to make his own movie, self-finance film, $120 million. Imagine you just sitting around the house. You know what? I've got this great winery over here. I've made some of the greatest films of all time. I put $120 million of my own money into this movie. He's 82 years of age. It's amazing.
I asked Jessica. I was told the author's on paternity leave. When I read that, I asked Jessica to get that author on because I can't believe that Coppola in his 80s is saying bleep it. Godfather is what you expect from me. Here I am. I'm 80. I'm going to kick Hollywood's ass again. I'll just pay for it myself. That's nuts. That's nuts. Like this guy wants to die the way Hunter S. Thompson did. Like shoot my ashes into the sky and make it cost $50 million. This is crazy.
I want no notes.
Clint Eastwood.
I don't want Apple to give one bit of suggestion.
Clint Eastwood is making crap in his 80s. Just farting out crud in his 80s. Can't make Adnan's top 5 list. Can't believe Wes Anderson wasn't on there. He was. You like those movies? You like how symmetrical those movies are.
Symmetrical.
I do love Wes Anderson, but I think his best work then was earlier. Like I love Rushmore is one of my favorite movies. I adore The Royal Tenenbaums. They are symmetrical, but at times his film's a little too cute, a little too precious. I wish there was a little more story, a little less character in some of Wes Anderson's films. But there's no doubt he's very fastidious in his work, which I appreciate.
Wes Anderson can get over himself. It's enough.
Yeah.
Like I find all those movies like. Who is this for? Is this entertaining? Am I enjoying this? I'm not enjoying this. Why am I watching this?
It's an aesthetic.
Oh,
some directors are all
Wes
about
Anderson,
the aesthetic,
please.
And some are about telling a good story. Some can do both, and those are the best.
It's a little too precious. Stu and I would take the French Connection over the French Dispatch. Let's be honest.
There's
100%.
There's no character in a Wes Anderson movie that is like anyone you've ever met. Anyone. Right. They're all.
He has a cigarette holder. He's like, French. He reads poetry. He has a beret. I'm like, there's no people like this in the world. It's in Wes Anderson's world. I'm like, okay, fine.
In the world.
And it's Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner is that guy. Like, why is Jeremy Renner in this world? What?
Chris, what do you feel about Tarantino's use of the 70mm film format?
I'm seeing a theme here we're doing here. A little jazz hands. Chris is an idiot. We get it. Adnan, you did some Olympics work. You were SV Peacock.
Yeah, that's my question.
What would you make? What can you report? What can you tell us about the frozen penis?
Well, thankfully, on Winter Gold, which was our 1-hour nightly recap show, we did not develop a blow-by-blow on that specific incident. But what you are referring to is a cross-country skier because he was battling such horrific conditions after crossing the line. And once he was warming up, suffered from a frozen penis, meaning exactly what it sounds like. His entire body and that specific appendage was virtually an icicle, and it required the jaws of life.
Seems like A-block material. Seems like
Yeah,
I wasn't. We kind of buried it in the D's. It was
Adnan,
our
that's the
called
reset.
The
In the
Rings of
D,
Honor,
nice.
Top 5 places.
You buried the D's. Ladies and gentlemen, the more mature Chris Cote.
Working blue. He works blue too. That's another reason to tune in.
Well, it's like hearing Saget work blue. Yes, Adnan has a dirty side. That is correct. We have seen this. Well, not seen it, but we have. With Mike Schur, there was a basset hound and there was masturbation, and it was really awkward.
Top 5 masturbations movie history?
Well, we need to go to top 5 most gruesome scenes because I bet you.
Oh,
wow.
All right, let's do this. But we're throwing all this at Adnan, and he is an encyclopedia, but there's no prep to this. So I'm going to do it in reverse order, Adnan. You got off easy with Stugotz guessing. But your top 5 gory scenes, and I'm going to go 5 backwards because Pulp Fiction stays with me. The scene stays with me. It wasn't even actually that gory. It's just horrifying. Having to bring somebody to life by sticking a needle in their chest was something that made me recoil. And
I thought you were going to say the scene where they accidentally blow the guy's brains
Pulp
out.
Fiction.
That's the one I was thinking.
Yeah, well,
yes.
that too.
It had several.
That as well. And let's do this. I'm just filibustering to give Adnan the time to come up with his list before I go to top 5 Tarantino movies as well.
Yeah, I'm going to filibuster a little more. Witty, you had a point you were trying to make there for a second?
It's fair. I'm throwing this at him and I'm
when you're
making him
cleaning
rank him.
brain.
I would like to guess his top 5 Tarantino movies at some point, if you don't mind.
Okay, that I can do. That I can do, no
okay.
problem.
That's fine.
Gory scenes is very, very tricky.
And Pulp Fiction, you're right, has a few of them because we could still go to the Gimp scene and speak to Working Blue. So we don't know what Tarantino's got a long list of testing boundaries on some of this stuff, and it's why he's one of my favorite directors. But that was a good list that you put together, Stugotz.
Thank you.
The Coen brothers, good God, when they come in at number 5. So
Technically a top 6 then.
what are we doing here? Top 5 Tarantino movies? That'll be easier for him because I'm giving him a second. You have to understand, throwing gory scenes, and it's the library of all movies ever made.
Right. So you want me to guess the top 5 Tarantino movies while he's getting his list of gory scenes together?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Let's do that.
I can play the Basset Hound anecdote to give all of us time.
Yes, please give us a second so that people know that we do this show live to tape. Let's just, and this is us showing you the bare bones of the production. Yes, just play the awkwardness between Adnan and Mike Schur. As Adnan, I think we've covered this ground, tried to jovially come into the YouTube with some stories that will make everyone come together. Bad phrasing.
Mark Harris, good guy. Like, I think we're going through the book. He definitely can tell. I read the book. I'm flying through this thing. I'm like, all right, tell me about Richard Burton. Let's go. But I said, here's the fun stuff, Dr. Dolittle, which, by the way, Cody and Ferris did not know there was an original Dr. Dolittle.
I thought we were talking about Eddie Murphy. Yeah.
During one long evening at the Burtons, Robert sent their guest Tennessee Williams and director Joseph Losey running for the door when, in Burton's words, she insulted Rex. She's talking about Rex Harrison. Rex sexually, morally, physically, lay on the floor in the bar and bark like a dog, started to masturbate her basset hound.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What's happening?
No. How great is another one?
Billy, I love Billy being the voice of the audience. Jesus Christ, what's happening? And Billy sounds like he doesn't know that those words are leaving his body. He thought like he was keeping them privately to himself. Top 5. Have we filibustered enough here for top 5 gory scenes? The 5th goriest scene in the history of cinema, according to Adnan Virk.
This is going to offend you guys because I don't think your show unit is a big Scarface fan, but I still think the Scarface chainsaw scene, the way that's cut, the way the blood starts coming in, they're like, yeah, that's a pretty gory scene. They're using a chainsaw this
and
guy.
1983, that's right. We say all the time, 3 blocks from here, that hotel is now a CVS. 3 blocks from here, right down the street. Number 4.
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable. That scene, one of the goriest in the history, happened 3 blocks from here. I buy my opioids there now. Number 4.
Number 4 is a scene in a movie called Irreversible. Now, I don't know how many people have seen it, but there's a guy literally getting his head punched in with a fire extinguisher. It's a horrifying scene. Again, not particularly well-known to the masses, but Irreversible, number 4. A quick Google search will show you it's a horrifying scene.
Okay. I immediately, what are some of the things you think? Because I think like American History X. Like, what are some of the things that come into
I was getting to the curb stomp. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting there.
Here.
Okay, no, I didn't think that I was going to guess correctly one of your top 5. Number 3.
It's a fun game, right?
Number 3.
Number 3 is the curb stomp heard around the world. The fact that there is a close-up of a man's jaw put on the curb and the cut from a boot going down. I'm like, woo! That's about as jarring as it gets. Edward Norton, American History X. Curb stomp heard around the world.
All right, Dan, what's the next one?
I just did. I did Doug Drabeck with him. It was the first thought I had.
A dealer.
Because I can't believe I guessed that correctly. Number 2.
Number 2 is actually going to be Reservoir Dogs. I do think the ear cutting scene, even though you never actually see it, the way they cut around it, the build up to it, the fact that at one point Michael Madsen is talking into an ear. It's just an appendage. He's talking into an ear. Like, it's insane. It's so ridiculous. It's violent and gory, and it's kind of funny. Like, what the hell is going on here?
And the music was great. I can't hear that song anymore without thinking of that scene.
Stuck in the middle with you, yes.
It's simply not possible. That scene is so amazing, and that's Tarantino just introducing himself to us, Adnan. Like, that's crazy what he did with that movie.
It is insane. And to be able to do that right out of the gate, to have that kind of audacity is impressive. We're at number 1, and I had to go with something that Stu would appreciate. It's got to be one of his action movies. So if you think about 80s action movie, if you think of a gory scene, are you thinking of Predator? Are you thinking of somewhere in that vein? I'm going to actually go with, I was thinking about The Running Man, but I'm actually going to go with Total Recall. Total Recall. When they start dying, their eyes start popping.
Oh, that's right. Yes. The original Total
Popping
Recall.
out of their head.
That's right. Arnold Schwarzenegger had no breath, and he was on Mars, and his face was exploding.
Same director, RoboCop.
Paul Verhoeven.
I don't know why you would select Total Recall. It was cartoonishly ridiculous.
I was thinking Rocky, Clubber Lang, perhaps Apollo, Drago. You know, Apollo died there.
But the eyes just popping out of their head like that. I can't get out of my head. It's so absurd.
Number 5, Tarantino movies, according to Adnan Virk. Stugotz thinks
Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Number 4,
Jackie Brown.
Number 3,
Pulp Fiction.
Number 2,
Reservoir Dogs.
And number 1,
Inglourious Bastards.
Pretty good. He nailed number 2. I do have Reservoir Dogs at number 2. Wow. I have Pulp Fiction higher at number 1. That's where Sir's a little bit wrong. I love The Hateful Eight. I'm one of the few that's in the minority on that one. I've got The Hateful Eight at number 5.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's a terrible.
I've lost the room on this.
I mean, what happened to Django?
Tony agrees.
Django Unchained. What happened?
Why do you love that
Hateful
movie?
Eight was incredible. Non-linear storytelling. The
Less
characters
plot,
were
more
super
character.
rich. Yes, absolutely.
Less plot, more character. Felt like Reservoir Dogs.
The only thing you've learned.
But what about Django Unchained?
Django, I have at 4. I have Inglourious Bastards at 3. So Stu got 3 out of 5. That's pretty good.
I'm happy.
Adnan, thank you for being on with us. I wanted to talk about some sports things with you. Stugotz just threw 3 dealer cards at me.
I am telling you, no one loves a classic dealer like Adnan Virk. Okay?
All right. Is baseball coming back? And just name off the top of your head, word association. I say to you a pitcher who is a classic dealer. A classic dealer, and you say what? I don't know what the time period is. Doesn't have to be now.
Doc Gooden.
Doc
Really?
Gooden. Look, he
Power pitcher,
He's
though.
better than a dealer.
Too
No,
good to be a dealer.
Yeah.
He has a good curveball.
Like a dealer is Doug Drabeck, Atlee Hammaker, those kind
Bruce
of guys.
Hurst. Bruce Hurst.
Yeah.
Oh, a lefty.
Oh, Bruce Hurst is amazing.
That is
Bruce
a good
Hurst,
one.
yeah.
Let's get his analysis because we tried Boog Shambi and we tied. Why did Tim Kirkshin no comment you on this?
he was getting on a flight.
Right.
Okay, and Boog wasn't paying attention to you.
He
so
just didn't respond to me last night.
all right, great production as always, Chris. You're doing a great
Less
job
plot.
on
It's not his
Cinephile,
fault.
on all the producing around
More
the show.
character.
I asked you to just get Boog and find out this hierarchy, how it was looking. Whittingham, you want to read the hierarchy to Adnan Virk. He might have a different answer than Hurst.
All right, so this is from bottom to top, the hierarchy of starting pitchers. We begin with the opener. Should I give myself a sound?
No, we told you to take that out last time, and you
It's
kept it
I'm
in,
telling you,
and
an opener is a
insist
starting pitcher.
I
It
know,
deserves
but
no
take the opener
respect.
Take it out.
Take
We
the
told
opener.
you that's
The
not
relief
your-
pitcher who starts
No.
a game.
Right,
No, we're good.
But if you're asking my favorite opener, it's
No.
fine standing. But go
Okay,
ahead.
no, we're not asking your.
But of course you would have an answer,
Yeah, then
though.
of course, because the opener started the last 3 years. Stop doing it that way.
Spot starter, then 5 innings, 3 earned. And I believe was
You're doing this from memory?
Yeah, because I changed it for I changed my Google Doc. So
Jim Wakefield.
knuckleballer, then ground ball specialist.
I love that.
You're not honoring the list, though.
I think I'm getting it right.
And so flamethrower was in the middle there somewhere?
I think flamethrower came after workhorse.
Workhorse, dealer.
Crafty lefty somewhere in there.
Yeah, crafty. So, Adnan, are there any crafty righties?
No, it's only with lefties. You cannot be a crafty righty. You're just a meathead. You're a hard throwing righty or a guy who doesn't have good stuff. But a crafty lefty, I always have time for. Jimmy Key.
Caballote.
Oh, Jimmy Key.
I was getting to Caballote. Going way too far out of order.
Yes.
Then we have dealer.
Yes.
Then we have top of the rotation.
Horse was in there somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we have horse.
Yep.
Then we have
John
ace.
Lackey's a horse.
John
Both in
Lackey
image
is a
and-
horse.
So
John Lackey is a horse.
He's
That's
just a
perfect.
horse mouth.
he might be. I think Wainwright is
That's not how he looks.
he's the ultimate horse, right?
Wainwright's a horse. Absolutely. Give me the ball. I'm pitching 12 innings. I don't care.
Now I need
Jack
top 5
Morris.
pitchers that look like a horse.
12 innings.
Yeah.
Then we have ace. Then we have caballo.
Kawaii.
And then we have caballote, which is top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
You guys were disrespectful to Kerry Wood.
Why?
Oh.
20 strikeout game.
Cubs
Dan
fan
was
over
the
here.
only one who
Flamethrower.
stood up for
Did
him.
it once.
Make
Billy,
the
the
analysis.
Cubs
Well, let's
hater.
get an executive order here. Adnan, what is on that hierarchy list? Where does Kerry Wood belong?
Flamethrower.
Yep.
So he is not Caballero. He is not a flame. He's not an ace. Certainly not. He'd be a flamethrower. Like
Yes.
20
Well,
Ks, like Jessica said. Had his moments.
I got one.
Kind of.
Hold on,
yeah, he
but
flashed
Adnan
out.
made it caballero, which is not
Yeah,
at all.
which is just a
what
gentleman.
It's just
Yeah.
a gentleman.
It's either caballo or caballote. Those are your two choices.
Caballero's just somebody who comes into a nightclub in 50s Havana and really just leaves with the ladies.
It smells
Like
great.
that.
It smells
Just
great.
a stylish gentleman. Caballero.
Just
That's
a
what he
guy?
is.
Just a guy?
No,
Like Jamie Moyer?
No, a gentleman, not just a guy. No, a caballero.
crafty lefty.
It's totally a guy who shows up at the park in a nice
ridiculous.
suit. Like
What's
that's
James
his-
Shields? What is James Shields?
James Shields is a workhorse.
Yes. Yes, he is.
We could play
Excellent.
this game for a while if
Yes.
you just want to lie.
Ron Darling.
He will.
Ron Darling, I love. Ron Darling is one of the few. He's not a crafty righty, but he's a cerebral righty. If there was a new category,
I like
he is
it.
a cerebral righty.
I mean, what is
crafty
Maddox then?
lefty, cerebral righty.
What is Greg Maddox then?
He's the ultimate cerebral righty. I mean, he's the professor, for God's sakes. He's
Yes.
the,
Oh my God, that's a different
Oh,
category.
the professor.
The professor, for God's sakes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Kyle Hendricks, big time professor.
Is that above the caballote? The professor, for God's sakes?
I think I'm going to put it between caballo and caballote. As
Okay,
professor.
we're gonna keep working out.
For
how-
God's sakes.
See you later, Adnan. Cinephile out today. Thank you, sir.
Less plot.
thank you, guys. Next time we'll talk Boof Bonzer, my favorite pitcher of all time.
Oh, my God.
I can't stand it. It's just like
What?
painful
What happened?
listening to this. My voice. It doesn't sound bad. It just I hate listening to myself.
Way to sell it.
I hate it.
So what? The musical?
Yeah.
Well,
So
We just got a track. Basically, the way we recorded this stuff, it was a lot of just like sing your lines. You hear a little bit snippet. So we're kind of learning. We're hearing these songs finally. And Jess is now hearing a final version of a song she's in. And she's.
I just don't like listening to my voice. It sounds like me,
It sounds
but
good,
it's not
though.
what I hear in my head.
I believe you guys have all overpromised. I believe Mike has fled the premises short-circuiting because of the pressure of this. Like I believe
That might be true.
we've covered for Mike sometimes around here when he has to leave, and I don't know, but the last 3 weeks were really hard on Mike, and he decided dumbly, I'd add, to hey, let's do a musical after the Super Bowl, as if we don't have enough going on around here. I mean, it's stupid.
yeah, Super Bowl week was not just a gag that Stugotz does. That was exhausting for every single one of us.
Yeah.
I think I'm only just recovered from Super Bowl week.
The long weekend this weekend did help.
Yeah.
I will say, very
But-
long weekend for me.
We're talking about this musical because today at 3 p.m. on our social channels,
What's going to happen?
we will be offering you, the dear listener, a chance to listen to 2 of the songs.
No way.
No.
They are being released to the public.
Why are we doing that?
You can do so by finding us on our social channels and subscribing to our new newsletter, where you will get these songs and you can hear us sing. And you see if really Jess is a bad singer. I think she's vastly overstating how bad that was. I actually thought it was quite good. I got offended at Chris Cote.
But Whitty's acting. Woof!
But why 2 songs? I realize we want to tease it.
It's a
I get
teaser.
it.
It's
Yeah,
a
but 2
teaser.
songs?
That's a lot. That's a lot to give away. And I'm not as confident in this as you guys are. And furthermore, I'm just learning now. He just said something. Newsletter. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm writing a newsletter for the company every week, and it will go out.
Oh no!
What is you are the core of the company. You are the centerpiece of where the company was formed. Through nepotism, through love of an incompetent father, we get fired and we have to start a company in order to repair your career and his.
I don't know, Dan. He's carried today's show on his back.
Boom.
Just saying.
And his ass.
A more mature.
By the way, our musical, less plot, more character driven.
I don't want to tell people about this. What does Mike want known? Mike has fled, okay? Last I saw, he was like crawling through snow somewhere. He's short-circuited. The last 3 weeks, the Super Bowl was really hard. It was just crazy. It was nuts. And in the middle of it, hey, let's also do a musical because he's insane. And it's a dumb idea. Okay? Like
I don't think it, why is it a dumb idea?
Because we're not singers.
Well, okay.
I heard the
fair
Greg
point.
Cody song. That dude killed it. He killed it.
I also was I was talking to the producer of it, JT Daly, who is tremendous, Grammy nominated, and he said normally something like this would take like 6 months to do. We're gonna try and do it like in a month.
That's
So
insane.
it is a very LeBatard and Friends accelerated timeline.
Again, stupid. And if you want our newsletter, written by incompetent, just incompetent.
Got you.
What? Tell me about the newsletter. Honestly, it's the first time
Wait,
hearing
tell
of
me
it.
about it too, because I don't know if I know.
Well,
about
I'm
it
on the
either.
landing page for the newsletter, which will tweet out at 3 p.m. Again, find us on our social channels at LeBatard Show on Twitter and Instagram, and all the members of the show on our social channels. It says here, sign up to access exclusive LeBatard and Friends content and other special perks. Contrary to Stugotz's wishes, we won't ask you for a credit card number. You instead are asked for a first name, last name, email, password, and cell phone number is optional. You have to prove that you're not a robot.
And social.
Well, it feels to me like this is all an elaborate scam. If you want to hear any of this terrible musical that we're promising you,
Why is it
2
a
songs,
scam?
because we want your information.
Yeah.
Dan, this is why you're not the business guy at Meadowlark. We got business guys. Like, this is how you do business. You give people a little taste. You say,
Listen,
here's
all
a
the-
little taste of the musical. Here's 2 songs.
There's
Come
so
back for
much
more.
in getting people's emails addresses right now.
Oh my
Building-
God, that was
I mean,
Phyllis Schlafly's entire game plan.
But how many songs are in
Who
the
is that?
musical?
11.
11?
Oh, Jesus. Are you kidding me?
You got to sign up just to hear Whitty's acting in this song that we're releasing today.
No, I was
It's like he's doing a live read.
If I told you guys before this started, let's during the Super Bowl make a musical about the Super Bowl, given our singing talents in here. Do you realize what a magician these producers would have to be for that to be good? I heard everyone singing. Stugotz, JT showed
Killed
me.
You
it,
heard
huh?
take one.
Yeah,
Mike
yeah.
sent those. I
JT
saw what you saw.
Once I started gaining confidence, man. Woo!
I heard JT. He showed me the notes that Stugotz was not hitting, like a scattershot page of notes, and he didn't hit a discernible note that his computers could recognize as song. That's something that JT was showing me. This is what he's given me to work with. But Jessica,
I gave them all I had, Dan.
I was told, though, that your voice, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to hear your voice, because I was told that you and Roy did actually have nice singing voices.
Well, because my voice sounds like that of a 12-year-old girl, and it's very painful to listen to. I sound like a pop star, not in a good way.
And of course, I delivered because I had the baritone.
Everyone
Exactly.
said, Mike, I did hear regret that they didn't have you sing more because you had the
I
greatest.
volunteered
Of
to
course they
sing
do.
more.
Of course they
Also,
do.
I told Mike like 6 times. I was like, "When's my solo? When's my solo?"
But
I didn't get a solo.
I don't want to reveal too much here, but I saw Frankie in the booth. I saw Hildy in the booth. Like, he's taken everyone at Meadowlark and he's put them in this musical. Everyone, people known and unknown. I don't want to give away stuff, but I saw an instrument being played by somebody here.
What?
He had me record my sex. You might hear that in there somewhere.
Cody,
a more mature Greg.
I test things out in the back room, and Tony gave me a thumbs up on that one. I don't know.
Don't listen to Tony. Don't listen to Tony.
It needs to
Except
be on
the
a,
duck thing. I'll give him credit for the duck thing.
It needs to be on a T-shirt. Don't listen to Tony. I said
Davis
that.
Mills.
That was my advice. My advice to somebody the other day was don't listen to anything Tony says. I don't remember why that was my advice.
What is that
Except
supposed
about
to
the
mean,
ducks,
Dan? Like,
man.
we're from the same place. Like, why are we doing this to each other?
The newsletter, Chris. What, Lewis? I'm supposed to be your boss. What did you mutter under your breath in Spanish there? I need you
He
to
said cubano arrepentido, Dan. I don't know.
You accused me of being a fake Cuban. I'm your boss. Like,
A Fubin.
What are you doing? How do the people in this company get away with such insubordination? You're on the literal bottom rung of holding up our video department. You just snuck in through a side door on the pirate ship. And you called your boss a fake Cuban under your breath for everyone to hear. How stupid are you? A founding member of the company. You've got kids and we got health insurance.
Deserves a
You
raise.
just keep saying showbiz, baby.
Doing a thing, jazz hands.
Well, what can we tell people about the musical as the company tries to get their
I
information?
don't know, Dan. I haven't heard it yet.
We've heard bits of 2 of the songs, which
Yeah.
will be released today via our newsletter, which will tweet out today at 3 p.m. If you're hearing this after Thursday, February the 24th, it's somewhere on our social channels. Go to worldofsuey.com and find it.
I want to reduce expectations here. It's a musical and it's us.
Yes.
Like how I want
It
to.
can't
I
be
don't
good.
want newsletters and your information. And let's do it 2 songs at a time. And let's increase expectations on us doing a musical. How high do you want to put the standard there? It needs to be super low.
I think what this project is going to reveal is that making music is easy. Because I think it's going to be good through none of our own talents. Because we're not good singers. But I still think
Hubris.
that it's going to sound good and people are going to enjoy it because JT Daly's behind this and he's going to provide the soft landing space for all of our terrible singing voices to produce a tremendous bit of content.
But I think our audience wants bad, not good. Like, I don't know if they want us to sound too good.
Stugotz, you're not going to sound that good.
There's
I'm concerned.
nothing.
Chris,
There's
listen,
nothing.
I
that we
laid
can
down
do.
some tracks. I did. I sent them to JT, Brown Eyed Woman. I did some Backstreet Boys because I want to see if he could turn me into a pop star. So I sent him some tracks. I laid them down. I sent them to JT. He's going to auto-tune it and send it back to me, and I'll play it for you
This
guys.
is one of
Pretty
the
good.
dirty secrets in music. I don't know. We talked not enough about Kanye and what he was trying to do this week in Miami, but I remember feeling shocked, and Kanye is viewed as an artist and a talented guy who started as a producer, that he'd just show up with some of his most famous work and basically throw it at Rick Rubin before heading out of town to Paris because he didn't have time to work on it very much, and then it would become something special. I did not know that about how the music industry has changed, right? Like with all the auto-tuning and stuff. I hearken to a time where the soulful voice of somebody singing in the 60s, 70s, or 80s meant something. but now it's very produced, and also there are talented people, but I can't believe Mike already, after I made fun of a DJ, Mike became a DJ. I made fun of Steve Aoki and just that entire genre.
Oh, I saw him the other day.
He did that to spite you?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
And he's doing this to spite me as well. Yes. He became a DJ to show that I was indeed right in my opinion, that you could just go out there and become a DJ. And now he's doing this, that he could turn Stugotz into a pop star. That's what he's trying to do as his latest dumb trick.
I also saw PJ Tucker at dinner.
Oh, wow.
Why are you name dropping just people you saw?
Unbelievably mundane anecdotes.
It's exciting, though.
What, like, why
I
would,
mean, it was cool. It was PJ Tucker. He's at dinner.
Nice.
And Steve Aoki.
Well, the NBA was all here this week over the 6 days. James Harden went to the Bahamas, and people were filming him.
Waiter was a big fan of the show, Dan.
Steve Nash was at the Soho House.
Oh.
But is that what we're doing now? We're
Was
just
he
saying
really?
people were in Miami?
Did he meet Gorin there? Is that what happened?
Maybe.
Because Nash is the one who convinced Dragic to go to the Nets. I mean,
I'm so sad that one part of the musical isn't drinking Mike Ryan's tears after losing Goran Dragic because he short-circuited.
He was so certain that he was coming to the Heat.
So certain.
Heat fans were hurt by that one, wounded. And not only that, but that he picked the guys that are going to be hard to get past. Like, it's going to be the Miami Heat have a very good basketball team if it's healthy, and it's going to be if Goran Dragic and Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are all healthy, that's going to be a nightmare to try and get past.
Yeah, I mean, they have they would be the best team in 2017, but can Goran Dragic now provide enough of that combo guard stuff that you lose by getting rid of Harden? Like, maybe, but that team healthy is still, I think, the most talented team. But
I think Goran's there.
We don't know, like, Kyrie's situation with the vaccine. We don't know if anyone is going to be healthy. I mean, Durant is coming off a fairly serious injury here.
Well, don't we know, though, that Kyrie will now be back with the vaccine mandates being changed
if
in
it
New
gets
York?
Lifted,
and that's where we're headed. We're headed toward the Nets being pretty damn strong here, just throwing together a team of guys who haven't played very much together if they're healthy.
They said it's going to take Simmons a couple of weeks to ramp up, get into game shape. Durant's about a week away. Kyrie, if they have that ban lifted, he'll be able to play in the remainder of their games. And they have Goran off the bench, which is nice, right? Plus, they still have Seth Curry. I mean, that team, if they're healthy, is going to win an NBA championship, I think.
Well, you have done this several different ways and times.
They're never healthy.
Well, but you have picked, right? You were correct on saying you better win the championships before Giannis gets too good.
Yes.
You were correct on that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And what the response has to be to Giannis is build something in the ever-evolving sport that is basketball and all the ways that it evolves. Because you just mentioned something pretty interesting there where you just tossed in Curry.
Yeah.
If this team is healthy, it's going, and Ben Simmons is a youthful person who could be the best defensive player in the league. They're really going to test the idea of you have to be around and playing together a whole bunch and chemistry, and you have to be a team, because it's just going to be a bunch of super disparate, talented parts that were gotten for James Harden, and you could just throw it together.
Yeah.
Goran Dragic, once upon a time when we were talking about this stuff, and it was LeBron James and Chris Bosh getting together to try and Dwayne Wade to dominate the league, and then they'd get a Mike Bibby.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'd get somebody that was seen as this final little piece, and it was just meant to make you just a little bit better than Pierce Garnett and Ray Allen, or a little bit better. So as you see, the Miami Heat, in a tribute to culture, have put together a team that is worthy of being the best in the East, even though the numbers that you've seen this season are based on guys that won't be playing as much when it gets hard.
Correct.
But if Bam and Kyle Lowry, so in this era of get me one more piece, Pat Riley makes a move on Kyle Lowry. But what sits at the end of Pat Riley's time in Miami and this evolution is the distortion that is players getting stronger through his company, through his culture, through his organization, and creating the brand that now threatens him. And Dragic just chose them.
Yes.
Dragic comes from culture, and he said, no, I ride, and it's because he gets playing time there. It's going to be harder here if Kyle Lowry doesn't get hurt, and maybe they've gone with Strus because they've decided they're going to do that because he can shoot, and Gabe Vincent.
Oh, I saw Matt Carbone the other night.
Oh, for the love of God.